It is an awesome video. Yeah, Foxy actually made the intro video. I just added some things to it, but it is fantastic. Foxy does some really good stuff. I mean, she created a few things for the Walking Dead stream as well. Some of the transfer, yeah, some of the transitions and whatnot. So very is. Well, so tonight, welcome in everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for the yeah very first episode of RPG Deep Dive. We've been kind of looking in this direction for a while now, and we just decided to completely focus this Wednesday night edition of off the Razmataz channel to RPGs and really talking about story, content, all the details involved with each one of these game systems. Um, right now, we have a lot of Free League stuff that we're going to be going through, but we will be covering some other game systems as well, probably including Dungeons and Dragons at some point. Um, I have a lot of favorites that I kind of want to really do outside of the all the Free League stuff, but I mean like Dune, I'm really anxious about that, and like the Skyrim game, Fallout, things like that. So yeah, yeah, exciting games that I want to play at some point here. So before we really dive into talking about Alien, I do want to just introduce everybody quick. Um, and since Dark Pawn is going to be running Alien at GaryCon coming up at the end of March, why don't you go first, man? Yeah, Dark Pawn was completely full before I was. Can't hear you. Hold on a second.
Have you run conventions before, Chad?
How about now, Harper?
Long time ago at when Gen Con was in Milwaukee. I was
Gotcha.
quite a bit younger.
Beard wasn't as white.
No,
You
wasn't.
dyed it, didn't you?
I don't think he
No,
had a beard
You
back
didn't
then,
dye
did
it?
he? Did you?
I could have
no.
sworn.
This
Nope,
is no. This is it.
that's it. I could have
Yeah,
The,
sworn you said he dyed it.
it's
the
my
evil.
evil wizard goatee. I'm growing out for a Gary Con. Yep.
All right, so let's move over to Rob. Nobody knows
Hey,
who you
well,
are,
you
man.
guys, yeah, no one knows exactly. No, yeah, you guys might remember this face from update log, which is if you've been following us on our Discord, you know it's not going away; it's just moving. But yeah, I'm Rob. I myself and Raz have been friends for what is it, 5 or 6 years now?
A long time. Been a long
Yeah, quite a
time.
while. Um, and this, yeah, like you said earlier, this is kind of the direction we've been meaning to go in 2025, being a new year. Decided to pull the trigger and make the transition. But yeah, it's good to be back in the saddle and tackling new things and talking about, well, for right now, Alien, which is a vast universe, which we're obviously going to get into, but it's way larger than I even gave it credit for.
Awesome. Thank you, man. And last but certainly not least, and the designer of our opener for this stream, Foxy.
Hey everybody, I'm Foxy Project here on Twitch and YouTube, and normally I play some survival crafting. Lately I've been doing art. I've been hanging out and playing The Walking Dead. I'm looking forward to doing some cyberpunk, and I'm absolutely looking forward to Alien at GaryCon.
Awesome, me too. I am definitely looking forward to sitting down and doing some egg hunt. I get to play a character that I've already played in there, so I'm really excited about that.
Wait, are we
You've
bringing
set the
back
bar.
Rex?
Yeah, yeah,
Haywire.
hey, I get to play,
Yeah.
man. I'm
Oh,
Yeah.
stoked. I get to play for a
I
while.
Greg, you'll like this. I ran the first part of Poisoning the Well, the first module with Drew to give him a taste of Alien,
Yeah.
and I basically played Haywire like as close as I could to you, and he was like, he was digging it, but he's like, he's kind of a dick.
What?
But he liked,
yeah.
but he liked him a lot. So
We all
yeah,
thought so too.
yeah.
I'm that's it, man. I'm going to have to find some super nice casual character to play. It's just like, completely vanilla.
You might have to break the fourth wall and ask him what happened to his former crew.
Yeah.
That's not fair. That's like hitting below the belt, man. Keep the gloves up. No, well, I mean, here we are for Alien, and I mean, we have two games that we're going to be that Dark Pond's going to be running. I'm going to be playing in at GaryCon this year, and we are also going to be running a live stream game before GaryCon, I think, or right after GaryCon.
Oh,
Haven't
nice.
scheduled it yet, so.
Okay.
But we are definitely going to be running a live stream game. Probably all the folks you see here, plus some to play in that game. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
What game is it?
Alien.
Is it
So
gonna
it'll,
be?
yeah,
Oh,
Rob, you got to play the beginning of Egg Hunt.
Yes. Okay, I remember.
This will be what transpired before the module 1.
Okay.
So Greg has to shoot a civilian. Like that's to keep it in line and everything.
That checks
Continuity.
out.
Yep.
That checks out. Greg would do that.
Oh, it won't be that hard.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, he's got to make it really easy for me because it's challenging just
Yeah.
randomly shooting people and
killing off your crew. Yeah, that's super
wow,
tough.
I am not. Someday you will
Depends on the
forget about
crew.
that. There you go. That I like you. Absolutely. Depends on
No, we'll never forget, man. Just like we won't forget Otis. I said what I said. Damn it. Look, Jeff was like the only character that I really like. I don't know. I liked him. He was definitely a break from my normal characters. It's fun. He was chill. He was the pilot.
Yep. Yep. That was an interesting game. But one of the things that we did not get to do with that, because everybody looks for the xenomorphs when it comes to Alien. I mean, you kind of approach it with the expectation that you're gonna run into a xenomorph or something like that. But this game system is actually I mean, it's so big that you could completely run a campaign without running into this if you really wanted to.
Absolutely.
It's a completely contained world, with the huge galaxies, all kinds of things. We touched a little bit on that in the game that the live stream game that we ran because we were on the outer kind of thing. But what do you guys think of that? I mean, I do believe that when it comes to Alien, everybody expects that they're going to run into it. But how do you feel about that? I have so many unformed questions surrounding that. It's just like, wow.
Well, I think it's interesting that there are so many, like, there are kind of 4 main, I don't want to say factions, but kind of factions, like governments that are out in the frontier. So the possibility for political intrigue is is huge. There are all kinds of things that you could do with that aspect of it. And then of course you've got Wayland Yutani, who's always ready to throw a wrench into the mix. Doesn't matter if there's an alien involved or not.
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what Foxy said there. You know, as you dig into the alien universe, both from I mean, now just the universe itself has movies, the game, the TTRPG. There's multiple video games. There's comics, and I think graphic novels out. So it's an expansive world. And then you have Alien connecting to other cinematic stories, like, I mean, just talking off screen, Blade Runner. We'll touch on that as we talk, but Whale Yutani goes all the way back to that time period, and it's like, wait a minute, those worlds connect, and it's like it's interesting to see the intersection. But yeah, like the world is so much more bigger than the xenomorphs, and that aspect of things.
Yeah, I agree completely. I also think that when you're playing the game, or it's the big reveal, right? I mean,
Hmm.
when the xenomorph is there, that's like that's it. Like, I mean, that's the big wow moment.
Hmm.
I don't think you should rush to that. I mean, that's just my opinion. So I don't want to give any hints about my games and stuff, but yeah, I mean, you're right. There's governments, and then there's corporations, and they're all in. I mean, it's Game of Thrones in space, like
Hmm.
a whole
Mm-hmm.
universe of it. And yeah, the biggest evil is really human greed. I mean, in which the movies really kind of hit on that. I mean,
Yep.
that it's humans are the evil. The aliens aren't, like, what do they say? They're not selling each other out. I
Yeah, they're
mean,
just creatures
yeah,
doing what what
yeah,
they're biologically meant to do,
right. So there's so many
genetically
more
engineered.
conflicts, and the other thing is there's all these worlds. Some life exists. There's LV, or life viable planets. Some of them don't need a whole lot of terraforming. There are alien species on there, but not xenomorphs. More that that you can throw at them. There can be all kinds of things. You don't have to stick just acid-blooded xenos.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In the universe is so big that you can create your own stuff if you really wanted to. I
Oh
you
yeah.
know I know a lot of people have created like variants of the Predator and thrown it into the Alien campaigns. That's a little cliche at this point, but I mean, you could create anything you want, and there are other monsters, I guess you could say. There are other monsters in the
Hmm.
books that you can use as well.
Yeah, there's definitely other threats, and like Chad said, something I want to piggyback off of there is the xenomorph is, again, that's like the BBEG. That's the guy at the end of the tunnel that you may or may not want to face. And honestly, I think it's even for me. I think just the idea that that is possible from a player's perspective, even if your characters never run into it, that's that can kind of keep keep you on edge. At least it would me. Never
Yeah,
running
it's the
into it, but
creeping
knowing.
horror that raises the
Mhm.
Mm.
suspense.
It's like, okay, is this, this we're coming onto a derelict ship? Is this where we're gonna finally meet it? And then nothing happens, or where you meet a bunch of, like, pirates or something, and they're just humans being scumbag humans. But yeah, it's interesting. And it's interesting the first of all, the ground foundation, excuse me, that's been built off of the alien, and the fact that the TTRPG allows you such space to add your own touches. Because there's two ways you can go about, like, playing the game. I think, Greg, you might have mentioned one earlier,
Hmm.
but cinematically is one of them. It's more of a
That's
movie-esque. You have your
Mm-hmm.
chapters,
right.
um, and then I guess the other way is your traditional TTRPG, and you can either or blend the two, or come up with something um, that's kind of freeform yourself. But that's one of the things that I love about Free League's games. They leave the room for both the players and the GM to do that.
Yeah, Free League's games in the Year Zero engine, I mean, they are very heavy into the storytelling idea. So it's not, you're playing a game, but it's not a, a traditional board game. It's more
Hmm.
about, setting down together and telling a story. Um, the cinematic piece, 100%, I think, and I want to get you guys' opinion on this, but the cinematic piece is definitely xenomorph encounter. That's where, you're probably all going to die because that's the
Yep.
Yep.
way the movies go. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's just my opinion. So, what do you guys think about that?
100%.
I totally
This,
agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
I'll agree with that one.
the cinematic is definitely like, you throwing everything into a 2-hour film. I mean, so
Mhm,
it's like you're in it, it's crazy. You're at that end part of the movie and you're running and dying and fighting. Yeah.
yeah.
The campaign mode, obviously is meant to draw it out a little bit longer, and that's kind of why I chose. Uh, well, I call it the Grunt Chronicles, and I kind of focused on the colonial Marines.
Hmm.
Hopefully, they can live a little longer because they're going to have, you know, unless they run into like the movie Alien, where things went
No.
bad really, really quick.
Haywire's just going to heckle everybody that dies.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds appropriate. And I'm actually going to correct you guys. Unless you're a kid and a cat, you die.
Yes.
I don't
Because
Or your
know.
kid.
The
name is
kids, the,
Ripley.
the kids
Oh, your
died
name is
too, but
Ripley.
they die off scene, so off screen. So
That is fair. The cat did live. I'd like to point that out.
Indeed.
So if you're an animal, you're okay.
unless you're a dog,
That
No, because the dog in the
Unless
third
you're a
movie got
dog,
dog's
yeah,
killed.
dog.
that
yeah. Unless you're the
You
dog.
got to be a
that's
cat or a kid. You can't be a dog.
But yeah, that is actually also one of the things that
Oh,
if you guys
whoops.
have been following us.
Sorry, Harbor.
Oh, but yeah, that is one thing that is. I don't want to say it's unique, but you guys can correct me if I haven't seen any TTRPG system incorporate um like a, the character of a child in games. I think that's an interesting twist, primarily because I mean, think back when you were a kid watching Alien, and yes, I watched Alien as a kid. Like
Scorny Weaver, man. I mean,
I don't know what the hell I would have been doing. Shit, I would have died. I ain't even gonna lie. I would have died. I would have did some dumb shit or found myself trapped somewhere because you don't know what the hell you're doing. But it's interesting that they introduced that as a character class, as like a player character class, because I think it brings a new dimensionality to a lot of the TTRPGs. Because when at least in my experience, whenever you sit down and play a TTRPG, most of the player characters are adults.
Well, it's a
You know,
taboo topic. I
it
mean,
is,
Yeah.
it's kind
yeah,
of a taboo topic that,
yeah.
do you or don't you go there?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
considering Alien, everyone dies. It's like, well, are we gonna
Yep.
cross that line?
The
Or
kid's an android. The kid's a synthetic. Never mind.
yeah, that doesn't count.
what
uh,
about the synthetics though? Because
Yeah.
here's the thing with that. So you essentially have you basically can be a human. Now the faction piece kind of divides that out because it's kind of like our world where the different factions kind of represent different political blocks, which
Hmm.
are in essence different races within
yeah,
being human. Um, and then you have synthetics, and those are the two very base ideas of character creation are those two things. Synthetics, the first Alien movie, obviously there was some issues with synthetics. Um,
Just a few.
couple. Um, and then later on, synthetics were, I don't know, not so bad, maybe.
that depends on you ask.
I mean, think about it. When Bishop dies in the second movie, you can't help but feel bad. Like in the first one, when Ash gets killed, you're like, yeah, that dude deserved it. Like, he was just
Mm,
so bad, you were just waiting for him to get taken out.
Right?
yeah.
So that kind of shows that you could play a synthetic character who is either, like, straight up evil, but kind of under the table evil. Like, he was doing bad stuff, but to him, that was just his programming. Or
Right. Ash was
Bishop,
more of a
who couldn't
tool.
hurt a person.
Well, that's the interesting thing with Ash. Like, in Aliens, when the corpo is talking, like, oh yeah, the last synthetic malfunctioned. Did he
Mhm.
though? Did Ash malfunction, or was he following his his directives, which was keep that life form and get it to the corporation? I mean, I always love that, that they kind of hinted, oh, he was malfunctioning. No, no, I don't think it's
No, he
like.
wasn't.
I don't think it's like, as what is it? Asimov's three rules for robotics. Like,
Robotics,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I don't think that's quite case in an Alien. Well, obviously we've seen that it's not.
Mhm.
That's terrifying. Like,
But you
to
have to
me,
think about who said it, though, because he was
right?
trying to put a spin on it.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, for sure. No, I just find it terrifying. The fact that this synthetic, which looks, I mean, it could look like a little old lady,
mhm.
could basically rip your arms off and beat you to death. I mean, they're terrifying if they wanted to.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Especially because,
Yeah.
to a degree, unless you like the people in that the alien universe, which arguably is the future for us, because it follows, at least to a certain degree, our timeline, um, kind of. But it's our human future. Those individuals can tell when someone's a synthetic or real. Um, but imagine like putting myself in shoes, like, yeah, that shit's terrifying. I don't even know if you're fucking human. Like you said, Chad, it
Mhm.
could be a little old lady or hell, even a kid synthetic, and yeah, you can fucking rip my heart out.
Yeah.
That's wild, because that's the thing about the synthetics, uh, to more greater or lesser degree, is I guess what they are, kind of that true AI, because they, at certain points, they start to think and feel. They have their own, to a lesser degree, independent thought. It's just, I don't know. Whenever you introduce the uncanny valley of the almost human but not human element, it's, I mean, it's meant to be weird. But yeah,
Well,
it always creeps me the fuck out.
and look at what David did. I
Mm,
mean, and yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you want to. That's scary. And the thing is, they can. I mean, not to get into the real nuts and bolts, but like for attributes, humans are maxing at a 5. Um, Synthetics can go up to 8. So
Yep,
think about, like, if you put that in their wits, which is their intelligence, man,
grossly outclassed.
that's
Yeah.
that's pretty
Mhm.
scary. And they can pretend to be your friend. You hope they are, but I mean, I think that's almost scarier than the Xenos.
So
I
Absolutely.
how many of you would want to play? Because me, ideally, I would love to play a synthetic and see how long I could keep everybody in the group from knowing that I
Secret.
was a synthetic. Yeah.
I would
How
I would
long?
be open to I would be open to playing a synthetic. I think it would be interesting, um, because you introduce an interesting element where you could be, an asset, or you could be, a hindrance to the group. So now the group has
Mhm.
to not only contend with whatever other threats are out there, but also you as well.
Hmm.
You have quite a lot of agency in that regard.
Yeah,
Um,
I was giving that some thought, and I think that it would require a little bit of obfuscation,
mhm,
having the synthetic pretending to be, like, when it comes to like stress dice, pushing rolls, rolling for panic. Those were things that, per the rules, the synthetic wouldn't have to do. But as players, you would want to, like, you know, the DM would know. Oh, yeah, go ahead and pretend like you're rolling it, and you can
mhm.
pretend like you're panicking. You'd really have to play it. But if you did, I
Mhm.
don't, I don't think there'd be any way. No, I mean, other than the actual mechanics of the game giving it away.
How about so I forget which one it is, but Winona Ryder's character.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because You know, she's like a highly advanced synthetic. So you kind of, you know, she kind of does panic in certain situations. What do you think of that? And would
Yeah, I mean,
you
if the programming,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, with
Yeah.
the
yeah,
like Chad said, the programming, if you're programmed to act in a certain way given certain stimuli, then that's how you're going to act.
Yeah.
They're replacing
So,
us,
But that could make a really fun, character in game.
mhm.
Because yeah,
I,
I mean, you didn't know until 3/4 of the way through the movie that she was actually a
right?
well, and even another twist: what happens if they're programmed and they don't know?
yeah.
You
Like,
know,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
Ooh,
was
that
just
would be
thinking
a
about that.
fun character.
What if you did a
yeah,
whole party like that, where
yeah,
And
everybody
they
in the
didn't know
party
they were
was a synthetic
synthetics.
and nobody knew that they were synthetic?
right.
That's that would be really interesting.
I think it would be really cool, especially if people in the party, so the players were not um didn't have a bias against playing against the, you know, the judgmental aspect, thinking they're real
Mhm.
humans, and when they find out that one of the others is a synthetic, they're, you know, they're, I don't know, I guess racist against them. I can't think of another way to put it, but
Right.
you know,
Wary of their motives.
right,
Yeah.
right. And then
I could almost
lo
see
and behold, later on, they figure out that, oh crap, I'm a synthetic too.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
could almost see a story where they're like on a suicide mission almost, where they might not, will likely die, and then
Mhm.
literally, if you wipe, they wake up Groundhog Day,
Oh
Oh
and
my
no.
gosh.
yeah, yeah, and like get back out there. Or maybe they don't remember anything, and you just, to the players, you're like, okay, here's your characters, and they're like, wait a second, you're like, don't ask, you'll figure it out sooner or later.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, that'd be wild. Oh man,
Well, and you have to
that would
think
be
too,
interesting.
another one of the factions is that there are like religions out in space, and a lot of them are kind of cults,
Mhm.
basically.
Hmm.
So you throw
Mhm.
that into the mix. Imagine being a synthetic that's been programmed by a cult.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
No, no, thank you. I'll take the xenomorph.
You'll take the xenomorph?
I'll take the
Yeah,
xenomorph.
yeah.
At least I know that thing's gonna kill me quick.
See, you could run an awesome campaign off of some of these ideas, and you know, even more so than that is I've heard Wayland Yutani come up several times, and we all kind of get caught up in the big names from the movies, the big name
Mhm.
corporations. This is a huge universe. You could create, you know what I mean? There are so many companies and big companies that are out there, you know what I mean, that you can't really make a list of all of them. So I mean, you could make your own ecosystem entirely in this universe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you don't have
And
to
this,
you don't have that you ignore Wayland Yutani, but I mean, they don't have to be a big player in your game.
and the system supports it too. Again,
Yeah.
Free League, they in the Year Zero engine, they really espouse the players at the particular table taking ownership of the game. They give you a framework to work within, but really, I mean, you can use as much or as little of this, the game system and what's on offer, however much or little as you want of that. And I really think that's one of the great pieces about their game systems. And it's, again, I mean, we've talked about their stuff many times on the Rise channel. I mean, that's not just Alien, it's Walking Dead, it's a lot of their games. I'd even argue probably all of them that allow for that. Um,
So really, I'm really curious. So everybody here at the table, you know, everybody at this table's played Alien.
yes.
Um,
Mhm.
some of us have ran the game. Um, so from your, and I just want to pick on you for a moment, Foxy, if you don't mind. I know the game that you ran in. I didn't catch the whole thing, but I caught part of it, and that was ran by, you know, a good friend of ours, Old Man Garrus. Um, so what was your experience like? What did you What'd you think?
So when I played, I went into it knowing that it wasn't if I was going to die, it was when and how gruesome was it going to be because we played a cinematic.
Right.
Um, and I really enjoyed it because you go in and there were pre-made characters, but even if I had made my own character, I would have gone in knowing, okay, well, this chick is toast.
Mhm.
So it makes it fun because it's not that serious. I know that sounds weird, but you go in knowing that you don't want to get attached to this character because it's going to be over at the end of this session. Like even if you make it to the end point,
Right.
there are things at the end point, so it's not going to do you any good. So
Mhm.
it's really just trying to figure out everybody else's kind of motives and why they're doing the things that they're doing.
So you're
And
probably not going to end up being Ripley.
no, no,
No, most people, most player characters will not end up being Ripley. It's just no, you're
it's just
not
how
that special.
awesome can your death be? Like how awesome can you make it? Because you know
Oh,
it's going to happen. So instead of just, okay, Xenomorph takes me out. No, how? What happens? Like, how do you fight back? Um, and that makes it fun and that kind of I don't know. It was just I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I went in knowing that it, my character was gonna die.
Well,
yeah.
and Harper actually brings up something in the chat. I just wanted to just touch on this really quickly because Harper actually played a character in my 5-part stream, and really a very interesting character that she played. But for some people, it depends on how you run the game. That's really what it is, and that particular stream that we did was going to be it was horror. I mean, period. Um, and sometimes that's really not everybody's thing. I mean,
Mhm,
there's some good RP that you can do in there, but the whole idea of it's a little bit counter to what we're used to with like D&D, where you're the hero and everything's kind of focused on the hero aspect. Um,
Mm.
with
Sure.
And you can do that with Alien as well, is the point that I'm trying to make. You can do that
mhm.
with this system if that's the game that you want to play. Um awesome.
Strong, strong the real. Hey, what's up, man?
Not the
Welcome
real.
in, buddy.
Um but yeah.
Dark Point is cool. He's a cool dude.
I'm pretty confident that's my son.
Ah, gotcha.
Okay.
Stront the real.
Trying
Well,
to
hey
get
man,
trying to
he's
get
he's
brownie points with his
supporting.
dad.
That might be. Um
Well,
um but
so
yeah,
Harper, you said the horror wasn't the issue for you. So what was the issue? Was it the system? Um, is there? I will say that there are elements within the alien system specifically that even I struggled with a little bit, and some of them were like, to put it bluntly, like loss of control. Because there is a stress insanity system, and we'll get into that,
most people
later
either love or
episodes.
hate it. That's
Yeah,
really what it comes
it's
down to.
either or. Um, and I think for me personally, and again, Harper, again, my question to you still stands: what was the sticking points? But for me, it took some getting used to because it was a break from what most folks who play TTRPGs or what most TTRPG systems do. Most of them don't control of the character um, to such a degree. Um, but for this system, I understand why, because of the horror aspect and the unknown nature of the worlds that you're dealing with, and also the unknown nature and the stress of space. That's one thing I want to go into in a second. But okay, mechanics. I don't think it's new player friendly, and I was still
So
relatively.
let's back up for a moment, Rob. I wanna
Mm,
get a DM's perspective on this, and I could be biased, so I want to turn that over to
okay.
Darkpon to
Yeah.
retort back to that.
Okay, my thoughts, and honestly, goes for a lot of free leagues games. They're not overly rules heavy. They leave a lot of room to just kind of make a ruling. And I don't want to say that like Dungeons and Dragons, which is what I've played the most in my life. I mean, obviously a lot of rules, but I mean it's like a fifth of that. And I kind of like that because it just allows it to just go freeform a little bit more. Um,
Mhm.
I've played with people that will literally argue every rule, or if they don't like, oh, this is +2 because it's long range, or and they want to argue that, and it's just nice. I think it's pretty streamlined. I like that there's only 4 attributes. It just kind of makes it a little simpler. I like that there's only so many skills. Um, and I do really enjoy, not that we're going to get into the character creation part, but like with the careers, I like how they have the main careers, in the core book, and then there's subclasses, I guess you would call them sub careers, or they call them MOS, which I'm sure Rob probably knows what that stands for.
Mhm.
We will go into character creation next week though, and
Perfect.
ideally we'll create some characters on stream, hopefully with some audience input. So
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Okay. I
so
mean,
so
go
before
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
before before we let you two be the pundits, I mean, I think it's important that we also get another player, because both Harper and Rob played in a game that I was the GM. So
Yes.
Foxy has not. So let's get a counterpoint from her. How do you feel about that? What do you think?
When I played Alien, all I had really played before was D&D. So I enjoyed the fact that it was more like freeform and you had more agency, even though, the stress dice kind of take some of that away. But also we didn't level up because we were playing a cinematic.
Right.
So I'm not entirely sure, how the level up system really works. I think it would be interesting to get into it. But I can also see that if you're someone who's quieter, and normally, like, unless I'm on stream or I'm playing a game, I actually am very quiet. I know it's hard to believe, but it is actually true. Um, but I can see how that could cause anxiety, and not having the rules, like a solid set of rules to fall back on. I could see how that could cause some anxiety.
Yeah, I think there's a big piece with this. The stress system definitely does create a challenge when it comes to player agency. It can create a challenge there, and some people just don't like that. I get it. I get it 100%. I do think that it adds a dynamic into the game though. That Here's the thing: you can use the stress system, or you can decide not to. That's entirely up to the people at the table. I mean, if the stress dice system makes you uncomfortable and you would rather have more player agency, then don't use it. Completely fine. Um,
Right.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and in the cinematic, the stress it builds up, and normally there's not a whole lot of opportunities to lower it. In the campaign mode, you don't have to. I mean, unless like the whole planet's going to explode, or like the whole cliche, the ship's going to explode and crash. There's always that. Oh my God, you got to do this quick. In a campaign, that's not going to be the norm. So there'll be moments where if you want to, guys, just want to take a break and get your stress down, it's more manageable in a campaign storyline. If that makes sense. I mean, not all the time, but in the cinematic, that's a whole different version. I mean, that game, you're just building stress, and people are losing their shit. And that's like movies, right? I mean, you got
Yeah,
the one
I mean,
person. Yeah,
it absolutely makes sense in the
right.
cinematic for the stress to build up, because I mean, you're being chased by a xenomorph through a ship or a a settlement, and yeah, there's gonna be some stress. You're probably gonna lose your shit.
Well, and if you're civilians too, right? As opposed to
Absolutely.
like if you're colonial marines, even I mean, obviously we have our beloved Hudson, right, that loses his
Hmm.
shit. But I think probably the best one-liners, of any character in my opinion, almost. Um, but
Paxton.
he would lose his crap. Yeah, Art, rest in peace, buddy. But you know, that's a loss. He's a great actor. Was a great actor. Um,
Yeah, I
but
didn't even realize he had passed until recently.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, just awesome. And but then you got Marines like Hicks, right? Who's
Hmm.
cool and like, yeah. I mean, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of them were, most of them were pretty, under control in, horrible, I mean, living hell situation. Um, but the nice thing is you can like take, it's almost like D&D, right? You take your long rest. Well, if you want to
Yeah.
lower your stress, and they have items to help with that. And
Hmm.
as we get into the gameplay, we'll talk about those things. But it's a whole different story when you're talking the cinematic versus the campaign. That's I guess that was the point
Yeah.
that I'm going over more than I have to.
It's
Well,
okay.
one
Um,
of the key pieces in our game for Harper is I didn't really give them the opportunity to rest. I mean,
No.
it was pretty much it was pretty intense after like episode 2. It got really intense for like the next 3 episodes. So that that can be if you're if you're really not applicated to that situation and it's not something that you are used to or really into, then absolutely that's gonna well, it's gonna stress you out. But they don't need to roll stress dice now. You're already stressed. You can just RP that all day long.
okay.
Well, and
I
I
do
think
want
that's the
to.
most important thing with any of these games is that the players and the GM have to have an open dialogue before anything ever happens in session 0 about what kind of the goal is and what the point of the game is and all of that before anything even starts off. Because if you have somebody that does suffer from anxiety, yeah, I can absolutely see how running a cinematic in this universe would be a huge trigger.
Hmm.
But I can also see how running a campaign in this universe could be extremely interesting. You could go forever and not see an alien because there's enough built into the world and enough that you can build into the world that would make it fascinating and just a lot of fun. And you could political intrigue and all kinds of different
Hmm.
things that you could throw
Hmm.
in there before you ever even saw the alien. But it would always be that thing in the back, like the monster under the bed. Like, it's there. You haven't seen it yet. Eventually it's going to come out, but when?
I do want to kind of roll this around to the divisions and possibilities for running a campaign, so we can kind of really dive into that a little bit, because there's some unique breakdowns to the world that create awesome opportunity for creating a really fun game. But before we go there, Rob, I think you had something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to address something that Harper was saying about the mechanical piece of the system because they were kind of elaborating on the horror issue. So the horror, apparently, according to Harper, wasn't the issue. It looks like, let's see, the mechanics. I don't think it's new player friendly, which I can see without argument. Um, let's see, someone like who's quieter and deals with anxiety. You mentioned the level up system, and yeah, that is something that one of the systems where you can either take part in or you can just completely toss it aside. And I think I understand where they're coming from with the level up system, or rather the criteria that the alien system uses for dispensing experience. And some of it, I will agree for me as well, was a little odd. Um, and I could have been reading the rules wrong, but basically there are certain aspects in it where it's based on DM's discretion on whether or not you get experience. It wasn't a hard and fast did the thing, get experience. Like it is with other systems where hey, you killed the thing or you had a fight or you did some role play and you're getting experience. Like you are getting experience. Some of it was, I believe, some of it was up to the DM, and there were other elements that you had other player input So
we'll dig
that aspect
more
was
we'll dig more into the mechanics piece in a
yeah,
later
yeah.
episode. I don't want to get too bogged down in talking through the
No,
mechanics.
no, I know.
I
I just wanted to
Yep.
expand on what she was kind of pointing out there. But yeah,
Our
we can talk about that later.
our campaign was a cinematic campaign as well, and I didn't give out any actual experience points for people to be leveling their characters that way. Um, so yeah, we'll definitely talk about that because there is a whole progression system out there for characters. If you're going to do a stream, typically if you're like a one shot or even a limited stream game, um, most times you're not going to give out experience points. And that's mainly because it's a limited run thing. It's not a campaign that you're playing through. You're just playing through more or less a short story. Um, that's kind of up to the group and up to the GM. I typically don't do level progression with the characters. Or I'll if it's going to be a longer game, then I'll do the level progression at certain intervals, like maybe seasonal, so that when you come back, if you're do one season of it, when you come back the next season, you're gonna have honed your skills some. You're gonna be a little better than you were in the first season, rather than trying to go through and do it as a per game per session type of thing, like you normally would do it if you're setting it. With that, let's roll into talking about these factions, and because it all starts with the core systems, which I guess you could say is Earth and the Mars and the surrounding planets. um what's your take on that? What do you think, Darkbon?
You know, there's just so much. I was looking over like the list of corporations that are actually lore in the
Mm-hmm.
game, and then versus the factions. It is just there's like you said, Alien. I mean, they call it Alien, but you could have called the whole system something else. I mean,
Hmm.
because it reminds me of the Expanse. I mean, very much
Oh
with
yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
with even the core systems and stuff like that. Um, there's so many different ways to take it. For example, like Wayland Utani, everybody knows it. There's LaSalle, Bionational. There's Siegson. There's I mean, all kinds. Hyperdyne,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of reminds me of like um,
Terminator.
Terminator. Yeah,
Terminator.
right.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yep.
it is literally endless what you could do, how you could take it. Obviously, you have some people that want to really stick to the lore and focus on all that, but where does that start and where does it stop? Do you go by the movies? Do you go by the comics? Go by the books? Because it's not all linked.
Oddly enough, I think most people coming into this system, maybe even first time players, it's like, I want to see how I would do against a xenomorph.
Hmm.
Right.
I already know I'm going to die, but I want to see how what would I do? You know what I mean? I want to be in that spot, see if I would make the stupid decisions that some other characters have made, like in the movies. Who would I be? Would I be Ripley? Would I be, Bill Paxton's character? Would I be the corpo,
I'm
the
leaving
jerk
the ship.
corpo?
I'm leaving the ship. The xenomorph owns the ship. That's it. It's his house now. I'm out.
I'm done.
Nuke the site from orbit.
Yeah, yeah, and then I'm blowing up the ship. I'm getting a bigger ship and coming up and blowing up that ship. That's what I'm doing.
It's the only way to be sure.
Yeah.
The only way to be sure.
Right.
Nah,
Yep.
you
And so, like, the territories that they kind of have listed are Free World Empire, which it consists of the former United Kingdom, Japan, and several developing companies or countries, and that's where Wayland Yutani kind of came from, was the combination of UK and Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And then United Americas, which is a merger of North, Central, and South America. Um, and they operate both the Colonial Marines and the Colonial Navy. And then there's the Union of Progressive Peoples. It's a powerful socialist block of systems that control a vast but resource poor section of space.
Commies.
And and then the independent core system colonies, which is a loose conglomerate of privately owned worlds. Each colony has its own government. Um, and then, like, all of the other three factions kind of have their fingers in each of these planets that is within the independent core system colonies.
Well, and the
Yes.
beautiful thing is, like you said, each planet can have its own rules. So, like
Hmm.
the corporations, like maybe cloning and things are illegal on Earth, but then they go terraform or find another planet, and then they
Uh
make that
huh.
their research facility. They do whatever the hell they want. So
Yeah.
when you land on a planet, again, you could run into all kinds of crazy stuff, or genetically modified animals taken from Earth,
Yep.
and then that could be the problem. I mean, like literally, they could. I mean, to throw Fallout there, the death clause, a colony
Yeah.
could go silent, and
We could
you
we
are
could
sent there to check it out, and it's like literally some experiment, not xenomorph related,
Yeah.
has gone crazy.
we could literally
Yep.
make the zombie xenomorphs. I mean,
100%.
There you
All
go.
right, let's not talk about that. That's a nightmare fuel, man. They're bad enough. But yeah, no, and then again, we might be in a dead horse here, but I like that way they develop the system. The system is Alien is the quintessential threat. It's not the only thing.
Hmm.
We've said you can not run into them, but you can end up on this other planet with the main threat that your group has to face in this story or this particular arc of the story is a particular corp. And they're trying to keep their illegal or like you said, Chad, it could be legal on that planet. So is it a crime? But they're on that planet it's legal, but they also are part of this larger entity within the galaxy, answerable to so and so. So it's like, okay, well, it's legal here, but in the grand scheme of things, this would be frowned upon. So what do your characters do? How do they handle that?
Like,
Well,
So
they
there's a
know they're doing bad. They're just not doing
Mhm.
yeah.
illegal.
And
Yeah,
Greg, I
exactly.
mean, you could run a cyberpunk game
oh,
easily in the alien world. I mean, you could
don't
be one
challenge me
Hmm.
to a good
corporation,
time.
but I mean, really, you're one corporation. Like
Don't
LaSalle Bionational hires this band of frickin' edge runners
don't
and
give me.
sends them to
Uh,
another planet to break in and steal some research, that they want to get for corporate espionage. It's cyberpunk. I mean, it's
don't give
literally
him
the
no ideas,
cyberpunk.
man. He already likes to blow up my characters with taco trucks. All we need to add is xenomorphs. All right,
Right.
man.
Well, but it
I
doesn't have to have
The hell
anything
of
to
a
do with
taco.
Xenos. Yeah.
Jeez. That actually would be an interesting. This is a huge tangent. That would be an interesting, actual kind of uh, uh, bridge between cyberpunk
I think you could do
and
it
the
with
alien
any
universe.
system. Honestly, I
Oh
think you
no,
could
yeah,
do it
Right.
with any
you could,
system.
you actually could.
Yeah.
And you could. I mean, who's to say that there's not a Dungeons and Dragons style world out there, and you crash land on it?
Well, you could even do like a Westworld. I mean,
Westworld,
Oh
right?
yeah.
synthetics. I mean, on Earth or another planet that could be like a tourist attraction, they could
Mhm.
have a whole planet of synthetic characters that you interact with, and they have fail safes, or so you think, so they can't
Oh
hurt you.
no.
I mean, but like literally, like you could. It's just that vast. That's the cool part about Alien. You can really, I mean, and yeah, you could have like Walking Dead, one of the companies like LaSalle Bionational that does a lot of medical and like virus and virology. They could create something like the Rage virus or
Yeah.
similar, and you could be a bunch of Marines that show up and you're trying to figure out why again the colony went dark.
I
You know,
definitely have a pulse rifle if I'm doing that.
hey,
I mean, yeah, obviously.
I don't blame you. I'd probably go with the smart gun myself.
Nah,
True.
I just want to
Yeah.
spray
Yeah.
and pray, man.
No, you know what? No, just give me the Predator's little risk thingy where I punch in a bunch of symbols and nuke the whole planet and walk away.
There you go. Well, nuke the
No,
site from orbit. That's
yeah,
just
yeah.
If you're talking about long range weapon, that's it.
Just
There's,
fucking
but you
What
can't destroy
exterminatus,
it.
damn it.
Think of how
No,
much research and money that's worth. You
I
gotta
don't
get.
care.
Ooh, he is
I
the
give it up.
perfect
Yes.
Give
corpo right there, man.
He is, man. I'm
Yeah.
keeping my eye on you,
You
Chad.
could buy your own planet, Rob,
I don't
and
care.
stock it
Nope.
full of a harem if you want.
Nope, absolutely not. If I see a xenomorph, the whole planet is gone. I'm sorry. I say a prayer for you. No, hell no.
That's just it. Probably wouldn't see it coming.
So that actually brings up a really, really interesting
That's
point.
terrifying.
Well, most times, I mean, even like in my campaign, we had the eggs and the face hugger, and what if there were no indications? What if you
That's
ran
even worse.
what if you ran a game? Okay, so picture this, all right? You ran a game, a one-shot game on, we'll just say on a ship, or maybe even on a colony, frontier colony planet. So it's just a small colony, terraforming, and you run. Yeah, he did shoot a gas pump. So you run this game, and one of the people is impregnated, but nobody knows it. And that's the beginning of your story. It seems completely mundane. You got a totally different purpose that you're there for, doing your thing, and no queen, none of that stuff. There'd only be one xenomorph, but because there's only one, it would have to be tactful, and it would have to look for opportunities to take people out one by one, maybe two or three. Actually, you really look at a xenomorph, I mean, they could take down several people by themselves. What do you think?
I mean, that for some reason that whole thing made me think of Thing.
Yeah.
This is exactly it just made me think of the Thing. Yeah.
Well, and I think because you always have people who, in really bad situations, are like, let's split up and search for whatever horrible thing is going on. I mean,
That
it's going to be
pisses me off to
Or
so
no end.
easy for
or
a
you have the
xenomorph to pick
parties that
things
just
off.
absolutely are like sewed together. They're like, somebody's got to go to the bathroom. All 8 of us have to go to the bathroom. I mean, yeah.
That's
Then
out
it
of
always just picks off
that's
the last
metagaming.
person in a line.
I mean, like, let's face it. If you're on a planet, you're a roughneck, and you're like terraforming, and there's no life. You're not like scared. I mean, you
Yeah,
might be
you've
like
lived rough,
super.
so
Well,
Hmm.
and I mean, maybe you're superstitious. You
You're pretty.
knows, but
You're
I mean,
already pretty sure you're a badass. So I mean,
yeah.
you know.
I
Hmm.
mean, you're out there on a inhospitable, deadly planet where if you get a asteroid hits the place and you all run out of oxygen and die, you're not like sitting there worried that, oh my god, there must be some creature that's like 7 feet tall and has acid for blood, and it's like until you actually run into one, you have no idea such a horrifying thing. Like when Newt says, my mom always told me monsters weren't real. Why do they lie to kids and tell them that?
monsters are very
Most
real.
of the time, it's true.
Monsters, I'm sorry,
Oh, come on,
monsters are very
xenomorphs are
real.
just misunderstood. I mean,
No, they're
Yeah.
not.
No,
Well, I
I'm
mean,
pretty sure
to
they're
be
not.
fair, he's not necessarily wrong. They're animals from more or less, even if they're engineered, and they're just doing what they're meant to do. But I don't give a shit. I'm killing all of them.
The perfect organism.
Yeah, they're meant to be the perfect prey, for the Jelly, the perfect hunter. So,
what
but
in
no, kill all of them, including the
there's
queen.
there's another
Hmm.
aspect beyond that, though, because the alien universe encompasses things like Prometheus and the
Yes.
Builders. So
Andromorphs.
yeah,
Yep.
I mean, how would you what would you do with that? And I definitely want to turn this over to Dark Pond first here. He's going
Yeah.
to be
No.
running
Yeah.
some
That's
games
a
with
big
us,
question.
so we're kind of feeding him ideas too. I think maybe we'll see.
Interesting
I
question.
mean, the engineers are a cool concept, and really, I mean, the thing that is interesting there is, I mean, in the comics and stuff too, they do have the G or the Predators in that universe, but
Mhm.
obviously the rights for it in the movie things get
Yeah.
muddled. It's like Marvel in the cinematic universe, right? But
Yeah.
so that's all there. But again, the one thing I'm really trying to do as a GM is not just to go. Like you might want to get that xenomorph for the whole hive and the queen, and you want to get to that point. I'm trying to hold my horses, and
Mhm.
not. You don't want to get all that stuff right off the bat. Now, I mean, over time, yeah, it'd be cool to like maybe come on to a planet that had engineers
Mm.
or similar, kind of like Prometheus. But
Yep.
then the thing you introduce is all new technology too. So then, like how much do you want that to be a factor? I think that if anyone ran into like an engineer settlement, the corporations would have a massive war
Oh,
trying to see
absolutely.
who was going to claim that
Yeah.
first.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, it would be,
Absolutely.
yeah, because that's like jump starting your, technology how much further ahead.
Mhm.
Um, like the
Yeah.
Roswell, New
Especially.
Mexico, right?
Yep. Especially like even at the time of the timeline for the Alien, which is what is it? It's what 2189, I think you said, Foxy. Like in the 2180s, or
Yeah.
even around that time, again, like you said, Chad, running into engineer technology, and again, this is a period in time where Whale and Yutani, and I know we bring them up quite a bit, but they were really the impetus for this particular stretch of chronology here is FTL travel, true artificial AI, but then compared that to engineered technology, that's another leap of a couple hundred, maybe even a entire millennia of technology that you could potentially see. Yeah, at that point, you don't even have to worry about the damn xenomorphs. The corporations would destroy worlds for that shit.
Hmm.
Right, or even the DNA of the engineers itself. I mean,
Hmm.
imagine using that for cloning and trying to what you could do with that to introduce into humans and their
Oh
genome. I
man,
mean,
yeah,
and that could be
yep,
a whole. I mean, like again, that like Greg was, alluding to, the xenomorphs don't even have to be anything to do with this.
yep.
Um,
Hmm.
and with the engineers, and then there were other races even in the book. They speak of other intelligent sentient races that you can introduce and people can run into. um, one of
Well, and
them
you
have
can
like,
you can create your own.
yeah, one of
Yep.
them in here, I forgot the name of them, have like clear skin. You can see like their organs and stuff. It's like,
Yeah,
it's some
that's
pretty
weird.
crazy stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty neat, like where you could go with some of this stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to like, I was trying to stick to what somebody read the books or
Hmm.
watched the movies, what they'd be comfortable with,
Hmm.
to start. So that's kind of
Right.
why I did like Colonial Marines, right? Like it's, and also I didn't want it to be where they're just going to get murdered like left and right super easy, because
Yeah,
that's not fun to show up, especially at a convention, and
Right.
like you're dead in the first
yeah,
20 minutes. You
Hmm.
you fall down a hill and you broke your neck. Oh, sorry. You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Reroll a
yeah,
character.
right. I mean that would be lame.
That
So
would be.
it's fun because, like I said, my first module that will start streaming, um, for GaryCon, um, you're that one's meant like you're gonna run into situations where you're pretty much the badasses, right? I mean, like there's not gonna be a whole lot. The second module, which is gonna be Egg Hunt for GaryCon, you're running into some equal challenges. And then the third one, which will be all your eggs in one basket, you're gonna start to run into things that you're outgunned. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's kind of, and I want to progress like that. Eventually, yeah. I mean, I think it'd be cool to like raise the stakes, right? You want to keep, just like a D&D campaign, you want to keep going up against bigger and badder and tougher things. But there's a balance there, because in the Alien, in the rules, you're not gaining levels, and I think Harper was kind
Right.
of talking like on that. You're not
Right.
gaining levels, you're not gaining hit points. Your hit points are tied to your a set number. You can raise that, and there are talents and stuff, and we get into that stuff. But I mean, literally, if you're going to go by a hit point value, I mean, having 4 hit points is pretty high.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
pretty solid at
Right.
that
For
point.
this
yeah,
system,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah,
4 hit points, man. You
Right.
take
you're pretty good.
a standard rifle, if you hit with one success, does 2 damage. If armor doesn't soak it, you're pretty much your day's bad.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, so how you keep raising the stakes, but then you got to keep balance, and that's the hardest part I feel.
Mm.
With GMing or making material for Alien is trying to do it and keep it balanced, and then keep it fun too, because
Yeah.
nobody wants to get kicked around constantly and make new characters.
Yeah. I want to
Mhm.
win at least a little bit.
Yeah,
I want to
they'll-
want to. Well, I want to survive. Let's put it that way. I want to. That
yeah,
that counts as winning to me. I
sure,
want to survive.
Well, and that's definitely possible, depending on how you could survive a cinematic campaign. You really
Oh yeah.
could. When it comes to and that's choices GMs make when they do cons. Really, is are
Mhm.
do your players have a certain amount of plot armor, or are they vulnerable? Um, and it's best if you don't tell them.
yep. Or or
um,
have
Absolutely.
or have other options when their characters just really roll like crap.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, instead
Like
of rolling
here,
dice, just flip this coin, see what happens.
yep. Or
You probably
or
have a better
here
chance.
you're now this character. Here you go.
Right,
Like there you
right.
enjoy.
But when it comes to the world piece for this, so in the inner worlds are, I think you're right. They kind of have that Expanse-esque style thing going on because they're soft. They're the old world, um, mainly controlled by the big corporations. That's where all the seats of government, things like that, are. Um, most of your players typically most of your player characters have never been to the inner worlds. They've never been in that area. They've never been to Earth, because at this point Earth is for all the really rich, wealthy, powerful people. um Most of them are going to be on the outer rim, or some of those outlying areas. So you have most of the inner area of the galaxy has been pretty much mined at this point. I mean, there's not, they're struggling for resources, yada yada yada. So that drives outward expansion. Which
Mhm.
once you get into the outer rim, you really, it's the Wild West out there. You can pretty much do what you want to do. You can introduce your characters, introduce your players to about anything you want to. It doesn't have to be xenomorphs, doesn't even have to be engineers. It could be just, hey, you're a colony team or whatever it happens to be. Um, Now, most of the adventure modules, I would say, like the adventure in the book, those are pretty much all cinematic. They're not necessarily designed for you to, run a campaign. So it is, I think there's a certain amount of challenge there when it comes to creating a campaign inside the Alien universe. If you have a group that decides, hey, you know what, we want to play in this universe more than just sit down for a couple of times and then everybody's dead or whatever. We survived the attack of the Xenos. We actually want to build something here. We want to tell some story in this universe, create our own little pocket. Um, do you guys have any thoughts or advice on what would you do with that if you were creating a campaign and the goal was to create a something that could run for a while, not just like a three-shot deal where you're continually advancing to tougher monsters with the challenge is staying
So
alive, period, I think. But yeah, go ahead.
I think it would be interesting to have one of your NPCs even have be implanted, and you know that they've been implanted, but the corporations also know. So basically, you're running away from the corporations, going from planet to planet to planet, trying to find someone who can help your friend. They could be in stasis, so you could also have an issue where in the you lose power to parts of the ship. Okay, so where do you route the power? Well, you definitely want to do it to the person that's in stasis because they have an alien in their chest that if it bursts out, you're kind of screwed. So you could travel to all these new places. You're always trying to hide from the corporations that are everywhere on every planet. So who do you trust? You don't know. I mean, that could make a really interesting campaign.
Yeah,
I agree 100%.
Yeah,
Um,
I could run with that.
I think if if you really wanted, like, again, it's for me, I was designing something for the con, and
mhm,
maybe that I'll continue next year, another version and whatever. It's a little different than if you were sitting down at the table with your friends and you wanted to play this over an extended period of time. I think the biggest advice would be start small. Like, literally, you could be, you know, just roughnecks. You're bringing some materials to, an outpost, a space station, whatever, and then have, not. I mean, everything's you're in space, so everything's life. Your life is in danger. I mean, you can get hit by debris. A hull could breach. There could be a problem with the engines, whatever. You could have all of those things that, although they seem mundane, are life threatening. You could get to a station. You could interact with that. There could be pirates because there are pirates out there. I
mm,
mean, there are pirates, um, and there's also all these different planets. I mean, they have different plants. Like in Prometheus, they land on this planet, and then there's this agent that infects them. Whatever. It doesn't have to be endomorph or xenomorph related. You could have an outbreak of like cholera on a planet, and now you have to get there. Um, Literally, you could be going around. You could be a Peace Corps, could be merchants. I mean, whatever. You have plenty of things to run into that are going to challenge you and cause interesting situations. Building, up to things, and then you get caught up in the corporate thing, and one uses you, or one sells you out, or you know you're supposed to ship something for this corporation, and now the other one wants that, and now they're attacking your ship. I mean, a million things that just slowly. I would just try to start small, just slowly, slow burn it, and
yeah.
then you know. I think if you're doing a non-marine based one where you're like civilians, just know that, like, when you introduce that xenomorph, you're pretty much ending the story at that point. Like, that's probably going to be the end of it, or not,
Absolutely.
or when that happens, let's say your crew successfully deals with it, and many of them live. Um, Now your characters are very valuable to corporations, right? That want to talk to you and find out more information. They could
Mm,
get you. And then maybe they're like, you fought one, you survived. We're going to train you, and you need to capture one of these things. I mean, you could just evolve it then, like, and go to the next steps. I mean, like, that's how I would do it, just start off slow. I keep thinking of The Expanse. I mean, I hugely love that series.
mhm.
Um,
Great
I,
series. Great
yeah,
book too.
I mean, I
I,
love,
I I have the role playing game books for that as well, by the way.
right. That's awesome. That'd be fun. Um, but yeah, I mean, I keep thinking of it, and the belter loaders and the whole, you know, cast warfare going on, that whole stuff. There's so much there. I mean, I picture like these roughnecks coming to a space station, and then that whole dynamic that, like, you're off world, you're not station, locals. There could be so much to it, and I think that would be fun. And it comes down to your group. If your group are role players, as in roles, playing
Right,
characters, and
right.
that's
Storytellers.
one. You could really do it fairly easily that way. I normally would run for my son and his friends and stuff, which were more teens and younger. They are role players with two L's. They like to roll the dice, and, like, they want action. If
Hmm.
I'm sitting there doing dialogue and we're doing intrigue, they're not going to be
I
interested.
lost them.
So
Right.
yeah, you gotta figure out what your group is if you're doing this at a table. And I mean, most people will know who they're playing with. Um, and then, but again, I mean, it could be as easy as a civil war too, or often corporations will go to colonies that belong to other corporations and wipe them out, or sabotage or do things, to mess with each other. You could be caught up in one of those.
Are
Like the
you
next thing you know,
foreshadowing?
but no, not at all. Not at
Perhaps.
all. Not at all. But you'd be caught up in the middle of that and just be space truckers that are like, hey, we're not involved. And they're like, we don't care.
Right.
Yep.
All
Space
right.
truckers.
And,
Space
well,
truckers.
Rob, what's your thought on this? What would you do with this if you wanted to run a longer campaign? What would you do with this? There's a lot of good ideas already been thrown out there, but I mean,
Yeah, as I say, there's a lot of good ideas there. I mean, similar, I would start personally. I would start with something small, keep it either planetary or within. If you're of say, terraformers working for a particular corp, something to do with that area. Keep it small because once that's the thing, and I think we've touched on this quite a bit. Once you introduce the larger players like the major corporations, the xenomorph, well, I'm not gonna say there's nowhere to go from there because obviously, with a creative DM, you can pretty much sky's the limit. But for most player, PCs, introducing those larger than life elements like the xenomorph or larger corporations or large scale elements, it's pretty much game over for the most part. So keeping it small, keeping it kind of contain for me, keeping it contained either to the community that they're in or the planet that they're on, and introducing things like elemental, you know, uh, uh, conflicts. Like maybe the planet itself is falling apart or some shit, or you you know some of your digging or experiments or something went wrong planetarily speaking, or maybe it's something as simple as the wildlife. Maybe you ended up on a, not to use Warhammer, maybe you ended up on a death world and now everything's trying to kill you, know? And now it's just to survive and retain what gains what gains that you've managed to cultivate and get off world. That can be the whole. It's like Pitch Black. That's another good.
ooh, yeah,
That's another good.
that could be something interesting to do, something like
Yeah,
that with Pitch Black.
maybe the crew's been there for however long and just didn't realize what was underneath the ground, and then Vin Diesel has to show up and save the day.
Well, when you go start blowing stuff up to terraform, you never know what you're going to uncover.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, I also think it'd be really fun, like in Aliens 3, they're on literally a prison planet. I mean, it would kind of be cool, and I'm not saying Xenos, nothing to do with Xenos. You're convicts on a planet and you're escaping. Like literally that could be the start where you have different convicts and they're like, we're getting the hell out of Alcatraz, basically.
Yep.
And like planning an escape plan and then getting off world. And then you end up like, yeah, we got out of that hellhole. And then you do land on a planet with a Xeno, and now you're like, "Fuck! I wish I was
Oh
back."
yeah, I'll just put me back into prison.
Yeah,
Fuck it, I'd rather go back.
yep, lock me back up, man. At least I was
That
safe.
that's I don't know, that also introduces an interesting concept that now that you mentioned, I hadn't really a prison planet. I mean, prisons are bad enough, but imagine a prison planet. This whole planet is designed to keep your ass in. Damn.
Oh, yeah, where are you gonna go?
Well,
Yeah,
if
you
you
ain't going
yeah,
nowhere.
if you look at the idea behind a lot of the terraform worlds, because a lot of the the terraforming technology in the alien universe is very very advanced, where literally a lot of these planets without the terraformer continuously running would revert back to being uninhabitable probably very quickly, within a matter of years. You wouldn't be able to live there anymore. Um, so a lot of these planets are very very harsh. I mean, they're not nice places to be, for sure.
And that's one. Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
Well, no, it's they have minerals, they have things that people want. So
And that I was going to say that's one thing that I like about the Alien system, and now as I'm thinking about the universe, not just Alien, because there's many different systems and games that kind of have this from me, but the idea that the psychological and sociological aspects of putting yourself into a character's shoes that's living in this particular universe. We talked about prison planets, being a prisoner in a regular jail cell or in a prison cell. Now blow that up to an entire planet that's meant to keep you there. Or, we all understand the need for minerals and different types of agriculture and stuff like that. Now take that and plop that in an entirely different planet with different minerals, different values, and you're relying on a piece of equipment to keep you alive, or you said, Greg, it should revert back to, yes, this is a death world again. And it's interesting. I don't know, because that at least for good storytelling, I think that's why we have worlds like Alien, because someone sat down and was like, you know what, I wonder.
Right. Well, you take the first movie. If all you guys have seen Alien, I think.
Yeah, if you can believe it, my parents let me watch that when I was like 6.
I seem to I'm pretty sure I watched that when I was really young too. Um,
Yeah.
but the whole premise behind that movie was that this is a mining vessel that's out in the middle of nowhere, on their return trip full of ore, and they answer to a distress call basically. um, and that's how that all starts. It doesn't start with an alien on board the ship or anything like that. They go down to a planet and they, somebody gets infected. They don't know what the deal is, and yada
See,
yada.
the parents didn't teach them. Don't pick up hitchhikers, man.
Don't pitch up. Yeah, there you go. Don't
No,
pick up
I'm sorry,
hitchhikers.
Lil. If I'm out in the middle of nowhere and I got a whole, bit of ore and that I need to bring back, don't call me. I ain't stopping for you. Nope.
See, and that's the thing that I like, because you have this distress signal, right? And they land, and then it's an alien. I love the idea of like teasing those little things, but why does it have to be, let it be pirates?
Right.
Or and then I love though putting those little teasers though that people are gonna think, oh no way, it's there's gonna be
Yeah.
eggs, and then it's not. I'm I guess I am foreshadowing there a little bit, but yeah.
Well, because in a system like this, with such a well-known universe as Alien, because I think most people have probably seen at least one movie, the Alien universe. I think most people have seen Alien, at least one of the many movies that are out there. So they have an idea of what's coming. Um, so it's easy to tease it, and then like when it's like something else, it's like, oh, okay. So it's easy to put the players on kind of the edge of their seat, which is interesting because it doesn't come, and they kind of get complacent, let the guard down, and it shows up in a different way. Gotta be on your p's and q's, man.
So yeah.
I don't know if we. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I was just gonna say, there's when it comes to that lore piece, probably I think it's like the first.
Page 12, I think.
Well, I think as far as if you have like the core rule book, or you have this one, um like the first 4 chapters of the book are really all about that lore piece, the whole timeline, which explains the timeline starting out in like 2023, so a couple years ago, and running all the way up through the last of the movies basically. um and there's so much in there that has, there's certain spots that intersect with the movies in that piece of lore, but then the rest of it is all of the intrigue things. You know what I mean? What actually happened in the world, the corporate wars, the colony wars, which was another really big piece in there, that you can pick where do you want to start at. You don't have to start with this wide open universe. You could start more back towards the beginning of things, like around the time that Prometheus happened, when Mr. Whalen and his group set off for that planet to find the engineers, the builders.
Yep.
You start there. where the universe is still young at that point. Humanity is just kind of reaching out into the stars, and the inner worlds are established, but then you're not like
Going
way
past the solar
right,
system. Yeah.
right. Um, all kinds of opportunity with that. And again, you don't have to throw xenomorphs in there, but you can. I as I'm sitting here listening to everybody, obviously I'm always getting thoughts for a campaign idea, but I think Foxy's idea really, really has. I want to put a version of something like that together, but I think instead of having somebody get infected and then trying to run around and protect the infected person, because that it'd have to be an NPC that's infected. Um, that could be interesting. And then what do you do? Yeah, there's a lot of questions around that one. But what if the campaign started out right away with xenomorphs or a xenomorph? What if you started at that point and your group, you deliberately not looking to like kill everybody, you know what I mean? They have an obvious path to get themselves out of here, basically an escape shuttle or something like that to get out of here. They have to engage the thing, but they escape.
Mm-hmm.
Now at that point, again, there's that value piece there because now they've fought one of these things. Where does that go? The
That's actually a good point.
Corporations are probably going to want to get a hold of them. Somebody's going to want to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
They probably are really deep in debt because they're colonists who borrowed a bunch of money to establish this colony, and then they just abandoned the colony. I mean, somebody's going to be out for their hide because of that.
Well, I mean, the counterpoint to that is now I'm thinking about it too. Is because like you brought up a good point. They're in debt, probably to the company that lent them the money for the equipment and ships, and probably enough to I guess buy or settle that planet. Now, what do they do? I mean, now the xenomorph becomes a bargaining chip because who wouldn't want to capture that thing and test on it?
If I was just a
I mean,
colonist, I think I'd feel pretty lucky that I got my hide off that planet without,
I mean, it's a risk. It's a risk, but imagine, oh, no, I'm
if
not. I
anybody
mean,
came to me and said, "Hey, we want you to go back there and try and capture one," I think I would be like,
that's an interesting twist. Yeah, I'd be like, hell no.
no.
I'd be like, "You want to come repossess all of my equipment? Fine. This is
Go
where
ahead.
the planet is. Have fun."
Go
Yeah,
get
Foxy,
it.
Foxy, I've got a twist for you on that idea. What
Mhm.
happens if you were the corporate debt collectors going
Oh
after the
no. Oh
people?
no.
Yeah.
That would be a good twist.
Oh, that would suck.
Oh
I would.
man, now we have to go to this crappy backwoods planet to repossess all of our equipment because these guys just abandoned it.
No,
Surprise.
no, that would
That
suck.
could be a really interesting adventure plot either way, whether it was campaign
Oh,
style or cinematic. Is
Mhm.
have you
For sure.
be the corporate team
repo
that
man.
goes, yeah, you're
Oh.
the repo guys that go out to collect the stuff, and when you get there, the colony is abandoned, and of
Oh
course
man, that would
you got to find
suck.
out
Except for the
why.
big black alien thing that's there, yeah.
Mhm.
But then you could even chase the people that got away because now you know that they're worth something to the corporation, and whether they like it or not, you're bringing them back.
You know? Yeah, there could be I mean, see, that's multiple layers to a campaign right
and
there.
and you got to get
Yeah.
away first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's all kinds of
No.
exciting ideas, I think, with the alien universe, and I had really when we first, so the 5-part series that we did, which is called the UAS Wisp, I really thought about making that into more of a Space Odyssey style thing and not doing aliens.
Mhm.
There's that mental struggle that goes on. I'm like, if I'm gonna run aliens on stream, people are gonna they're probably going to want to see aliens. You know what I mean? They're probably going to want to see an alien. They're going to want to see some death and destruction, things like that. So that's the direction that we went. But I think it's completely possible to run a campaign where the xenomorphs are not the main character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you couldn't introduce them, but you don't have to have them be, you don't have to have it be a situation where, okay, now the xenomorphs here, everything's done. It's all over with but the crying.
Hmm.
Doesn't have to be that. A lot of it just depends on the player's decisions. I mean, you know what I mean? If the players choose wisely and decide that, hey, we're gonna, shoot Otis in the leg and run, then they may escape.
Justice Rodas. Fucking Christ. I wouldn't have wished that on anyone, man.
But
Uh,
there's just so many options with it.
Well, and the nice thing, there isn't that much out there yet.
Right.
So, I mean, like, that's the exciting part for me is like, isn't much. I mean, most of the Chariot of the Gods and are pretty one shot kind of ish. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, there isn't much for campaign stuff. So it's kind of fun. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause
there's a
you're
lot.
right.
Yeah, what's out there is all very much based on like the cinematic aspect of it.
Right.
But yeah, with the amount of things that you could put into a campaign, like possibilities are endless.
They are. They absolutely are. 100%. So, we're a little early on this, but what else would you guys like to talk about in relationship to the alien world? And I'm kind of hoping that that Dark Pawn will give us a little, maybe a little bit more of a sneak peek into what he's got planned for all of us. So, hey,
Wait,
again,
all right.
Foxy, and I will both be playing Alien at GaryCon with the whole team. So, um, we were special guests at the table, so all the other players get 2 extra players to play with them. Um, I'm really looking forward to that, by the way. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually
So,
living with someone right now who's pretty salty because he didn't get the last seat in the Alien game on Thursday.
oh,
oh
rip.
no.
well, you never know. I mean, Dark Pawn and I have been talking about the potential of doing something else. I don't want to sign you up for anything, buddy.
God,
No
I'm
pressure, but
I'm I'm always game, but
He should have clicked faster.
yeah, I know.
mm,
No, so yeah, I mean, I can talk a little bit about it. Um, so Egg Hunt, which will be at GaryCon, is pretty much what it sounds like. And this is going to carry this group of Marines. So there's the people that the characters that you get to pick and play, and that you and Foxy are going to play are the same ones from the original, which is Poisoning the Well Module One, which we're going to run stream for GaryCon.
Mm-hmm.
For Egg Hunt, just to kind of summarize it, it's literally it's Seekson Corporation is the one that actually gets sent the message that is this egg that they've been on the lookout for has one of them has been found in a stasis container, and they want you to go pick it up. The only problem is that messages sent through space can get picked up and intercepted. So there are other people that would like to get a hold of that also. So the Marines get there and they get to go with that. Um, for the Poisoning the Well one, again the same group, but this is the prequel. There's some issues on a newly terraformed planet with the Roughnecks, little uprising,
This
The
is
planet's gone dark.
this is the one where I have
Yep,
to
go
shoot a
ahead.
random person.
Yes, yes, you have to keep the continuity of what you did in Egg Hunt. You're gonna have to shoot a civilian. The civilians, well, you're only getting Seegson security force information in the beginning, but they claim they were trying to get the colonists off planet so they could use cedar. Basically, think of like little mini nukes that are supposed to seed organic material now in a terraformed planet.
Right.
Um, they claim they had to get everybody off planet to do that. However, the Roughnecks, the colonists, decided, no, you're not taking us off the planet for whatever reason. Um, things then escalated over time. Colonists started getting sick, having pains in their chests, and there were some deaths. They blamed the corporation, and it basically led to a uprising where basically they attacked the Seegson Corporation, and now you're the Colonial Marines that are being sent there with one of the Seegson Corporation agents, who's there for company policy.
Well,
Make
technically,
sure
he's a civilian, and I could shoot him too, right?
that's true. That's true. Um, and yes, you will go there and figure out what's going on, and pick what side. In the end, you're gonna have to make some decisions on what you want to do with the information you find. Um, one person's paying your bills, and there might be some morally objective things that come up, and you'll have to decide if you have any bit of a soul. We know where Greg's going with that, but
Oh yeah, he's shooting.
yeah.
Absolutely shooting.
Um, but yeah, so it's just gonna kind of continue, and then we'll hit Egg Hunt at GaryCon, and then I'd like to probably stream that, with us, and then I think the third one, whoever survives, just keep going, and I could just go on and on. I mean, I've got a lot of steps in that, and I think as long as people are having fun, I'll keep running.
Sure, we've given Chad quite a few ideas.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty.
So, so, so for next Wednesday, we're gonna do character creation. Um, you guys, you have a little insight into what your thoughts are for that episode as far as character creation goes, so we can kind of give everybody a little heads up as to what we have planned.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, we'll get to go through all different options in terms of character class that you get to play. There are 12, so around there. But
In
you
the
have, I
core
mean, you have a
book.
lot of,
Yep.
yeah, you have a lot of options to really flesh out a character that speaks to you and what you kind of want to do in the world. You can align yourself with any faction in terms of character's core beliefs, and really embody kind of like, I mean, we were joking earlier about a space trucker, but yeah, you could be one of those.
Mm-hmm.
You could be a space trucker. Obviously we've mentioned the Colonial Marines. There's a lot of options that you have there that I think really lend itself to creating an interesting character in whatever story a DM would put together.
Well, and it's super super easy to make
Oh
your
yeah.
own career. I mean, literally, all a career does is it gives you like a primary attribute, which
Mhm.
again we'll get more into that. But you could actually have that at a 5, where you can't have anything else above a 3 normally. So uh, that's all it is. So you pick a career like you could be a spy, and you could say,
Mhm.
okay, well, this is the main attribute, and then you get 3 of your skills, and those are the ones where again you can put up to a 3 in a skill that you have, and you can only put ones in any other ones. So you could literally just be like, I want to be a spy. I want to be a freaking ninja, whatever. You want to be, and it would be easy to make the career on the fly, and then
Mhm.
obviously pick a talent, which again we'll get into more, that fleshes out like what are they really good at,
Right,
like
right.
for a spy. It's super easy. I mean, it's so easy to do it. So yeah, they have the examples to, like you were saying, to go by the 12, but that doesn't limit you at all. I mean, you can
So,
make up
Yeah,
whatever
no.
you want.
so if we each made, and I don't know if we'll have time to do this, but if we each made a character, what do you think? What is your idea? What do you think? What do you think you would want to make? Foxy,
It's
how
a
about you?
tough one.
Space Ninja.
Space.
Hell yeah.
I mean, she's dressed as Space Ninja now, so.
Space pirate right here. Space
Space
pirate.
There you go. So we've got a space
Arr.
ninja, a space pirate. Who's going to be the space ballerina? If we're going by things kids say they want to be when they grow up.
That's Rob.
Space
Rob's
ballerina.
the space
No,
ballerina.
definitely not me. Oh no, never. I'll be the space trucker.
You already got the look, man, with that ball
No,
cap and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the
beard and
space
everything.
trucker. But I ain't picking up no hitchhikers. I'm sorry. You got a distress call. I'm driving. I'm still going. You're on your fucking own.
See, the
My
bad
job
part
is to
is
get where I need to
if
go
the,
when I need to get there.
the bad
Yep.
part is if they wouldn't have answered that call, they would have lost their bonus, like most of their pay, if they wouldn't have
Oh,
answered
so
that
like
call.
just it's because they lost their lives. That's whatever. Hell no. I don't care. I'll lose the bonus. I'm still living.
Yep.
Self-preservation right here.
I don't know what I still got to come up with an idea for that, but I kind of wanted to know what you guys had, what you were thinking ahead of time, so we can set that
More
idea up.
corporate.
I could see
corporate
Greg
characters?
being a corporate agent.
How about a
definitely
corporate liquidator? You
Corporate
make
lead.
sure the evidence disappears.
cleaner.
There you go.
There you
Cleaner.
go.
There you go.
That could be people, that could be data, that could be technology, whatever. When you need to make sure this didn't happen, this incident, you send the corporate liquidator.
Well, you also have an option of making a kid in the game.
Or a synthetic.
Or a synthetic. Right.
Yeah.
I can't
I mean,
do
you
the
can be
synthetic because I already told you what my plan is with that. So I mean, that would be. I suppose I could make
mean,
that
you can-
character though.
Yeah.
Be a synthetic corporate cleaner. I mean, that would actually be a really good job. Synthetic. They don't give a shit.
Well, and if we have time, we could maybe look at some of the more central characters like Hudson and Hicks and kind of look and see where they fall in some of those.
Well, they're
I mean,
space marines, but I
we
mean,
know they're space marines, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hudson was obviously, there's a talent called banter where you
Yeah.
can make super funny comments that everybody else's stress level goes down. I think he clearly had the banter ability because, this said I mean, it irritated people, but I mean,
People have
Right.
fun with it.
yeah. But even like, what was it, Ramirez too? She had some pretty good one-liners like, "Have you ever
yeah.
mistaken for a man? No. Have
No,
you?"
have you?
right.
Yeah, the Marines. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it, man. There's so
Well,
many possibilities.
I was gonna say that the Marines, like all of the subclasses of them, are in the Colonial Marines Operation Manual, which is a separate book. I have the PDF for that, and then they have the Military Occupational Specialist, or MOS, and they have like, they break them down even more. So I'm assuming, I don't have all the books obviously, but I'm assuming they do that to give you ideas. But yeah, it's unlimited. It would be fun though to kind of figure out in the aliens which, what all of their, I mean, obviously the pilot, is the pilot, and the
Right.
lieutenant is officer.
Yep.
But then you go from there, and pretty cool.
It is an awesome universe, and it's just you got to try it. I actually I enjoyed the game very much so far, every session that I've played, both with the cinematic and really I'm not gonna we haven't really tried the campaign style yet, but I definitely want to give that a shot at some point and see how that plays out and what kind of great ideas we can come up with for that. But the cinematic piece, it just depends on what you want. I mean, you can play it really intense and just wild, or you could play it slower with more, more drama style. Just depends on the group. the players. But I mean,
Pretty
it's
much, yeah.
so versatile that you could do any of it, really. Wow, I got to change. So I created this template today, and I left all the old widgets in there, and that is actually my Cyberpunk widgets, and they're loud and obnoxious. But thank you very much, Kentori. Every time somebody does that, it makes me jump. All right. So, anything else for tonight, guys?
Other than
We
you
have
haven't followed us on Discord or joined on Discord, excuse me, please do that. Links are in the chat somewhere in there. That way you can keep up to date on all things Razzmatazz and all the different stuff that we have going on with the channel. And if there are seats at the table, you can join the GaryCon games that these two are going to be playing. I think that's all I got.
So just a couple of things from me real quick. We do have The Walking Dead coming this Saturday. It's either going to be The Walking Dead Session 5 or we're going to do the Alien.
Okay.
Haven't really cleared that by the team yet which one we're going to do, but one of those two games. We're scheduled to do Session 5 for The Walking Dead, but we do want to get a one shot at least in of Alien and of Cyberpunk before GaryCon, because those three systems, Walking Dead, Alien, and Cyberpunk, are what we are running at GaryCon this year between Darkpawn and I. So we would definitely want to get a one shot in there so everybody can, just see it. And have some fun with it, and everybody wants to play. So that's coming this Saturday. We are expanding our presence. So I've had the TikTok account for a long time now. Haven't really done a lot with it. We did early on, a couple of years ago. We posted some shorts in there. But that's gonna come alive more now as we get things rolling, and we are probably moving the update log over to TikTok. So follow us on TikTok if you're interested in that program, which is it's similar to what we do here as a talk show, only it's a little more expanded. We talk about the video games industry and TTRPGs, but it's more industry based, not specific games. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. Our web store is coming. So yeah, if you're interested in any of the games that we are playing, any of Free League Press's games, we are going to have them all on there, and probably have some special deals set up for our audience. So
Yeah, and definitely go check out the TikTok. I saw the one that you posted earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I approve.
You better. You created a good sized chunk of it.
Well, I mean, it was a
one.
collaboration. We both did equal amounts of work on that bad boy. And be sure and hang out in chat and watch when we're live, because you could get enough points to get a slot on the Walking Dead stream.
Yes, you can buy yourself.
Come be a player there.
It's only 20,000.
Yeah, I mean I've got 16.8 now, so
yeah. I know a couple people that are close, but we definitely want to. We wanted to make that open so that we can give people who just want to try it out. Maybe have been on a stream before, haven't been on a stream before. It doesn't matter. You just want to try it out. You don't necessarily even need to have a camera. We can work that out where you're just a disembodied head. Disheaded bot, a voice.
Yes,
that's completely fine.
Yeah, that's what we did with Astrid's dad.
Yes. You guys with your 16 and your 17. Sitting here with 93.
Holy man.
Can I give that away, like Greg, to like people? Can I like just discuss my
We'd have a raffle.
I don't need them.
Tell you what, we could do a raffle, or we could do a challenge, a channel challenge to to help somebody get a spot on the stream where other people can donate points to help
Yeah.
them
I'm
get their
I'm
spot.
100% down for that. I have plenty of points to give out.
So I'll look into setting something like that up so that we can do that. So I know there's a couple of people that they really want to get a spot on the stream. So I'm 100% down with that.
Okay.
All I've got.
Yeah, that's all.
You got anything, Foxy?
Nope. I am considering maybe playing Cyberpunk on stream. We'll see. Like the 2077. We'll see, because we all know how fabulous I am at video games. But it'll be interesting either way.
Cyberpunk 2077 is one of those games where
Oh,
you'll get better.
Well, I couldn't get worse.
I may
You can't
play
be
with
that
you
bad.
actually.
I
What
haven't
did you say?
And he has a mission kit right there.
I haven't
Nice.
even cracked the seal on it yet. I'm excited.
Yes, yes. All right, guys. So I think that is the end of our programming for tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to all of you for being here. Foxy, Dark Pawn, Rob, for the very first episode of the RPG deep dive. So we're working on this concept. Hopefully, it is what it is. We're gonna focus our attention in directly on the games as much as we possibly can. With that,
Yeah, and definitely join the Discord so that if you have any feedback for us, we love feedback.
well, and you can get
You
the
know?
inside. You can also get the inside scoop on these games that we're running at GaryCon and the story that we're creating there. Because
And maybe influence us. Might give us some good ideas.
absolutely,
Yeah.
I'm
and
not.
and I was gonna say, you have to tune in to see how this evil wizard goatee keeps going. Like, they have to keep coming.
I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep. And if you don't tune in, you're not gonna know.
I know,
Yeah.
and I think we need at some point to dye it some sort of fashion color, like blue, maybe.
It's Arctic blonde. It's Arctic blonde.
All right, I'll
You did
I'll,
dye it.
I'll allow it.
Arctic blonde. Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Fair
Look,
enough.
All right.
people go to salons and spend a lot of money to get that color.
Hey,
Yeah, they do.
All
I
right.
don't know.
We're gonna raid into Legends of Arbitos tonight. So haven't raided into them for a while. So please do show them a little love. Looks like they're just playing video games tonight, but that's okay. Thank you very much for being here. And I am horrible at rating, so
We're gonna have to sit here for
Wow.
5 seconds.
That's okay. I do the same thing almost every single time.
yeah,
Yep.
yes, that's my thing. I always hit it too late, and so I don't time it
This
right.
is on purpose.
Like, we do a really awesome outro and then hit the
And then
rate button.
right
So,
now we have the
yep.
bloopers reel, right? All right.
Yep.
Everybody have a good night. Thank you very much.
Adios.
Night,
good
everybody.
night.